from Cornwall, and last week I showed you what I was going to be taking with me, namely my Sendak Mini, my sketchbook, a few little accessories and some watercolour pencils. And I thought I would show you exactly what I did end up using, because it wasn't all of this. As usual, I packed too much. So first of all, the sketchbook. The sketchbook was actually great, and I'll do a little flip through of that in a minute. This, I don't think I filmed showing this, but I took basically a pencil sharpener, a couple of pencil sharpeners, some art craft and a rubber. I did use the pencil sharpener, but none of the rest. And then in the Sendak I had a few bits and bobs, some paint brushes, water brushes. I actually ended up packing some Neo colours that I didn't show in the video, didn't touch those whatsoever. My paint tin should be in here. I did use that once on the beach, but I didn't end up using it lots and lots. But I would still quite like to include that in my kit. So anyway, we'll come on to that. And I also packed a little paint palette, mixing palette, which I did not end up using either, lovely as it is. Thankfully, I didn't break it, so I can still use it back at home. A fountain pen, which I did use, and I do not think, apart from my magic pencil, none of that got used. So I'm going to pop that away over there. So I actually found, although it did all fit in those bags I used, it was quite heavy. It's quite bulky. Love the Sendak as I do. It actually weighs quite a bit, and it takes up quite a lot of space, even though it does hold a lot of things in there. As I've just said, I really did not need all of those supplies out and about. I think if I was stopping specifically to sketch for an hour or so, I probably would use more of that. But the reality is I was on holiday walking around with my husband, and we just stopped here and there in cafes, and that was about it. So what I did end up using was typically either my fountain pen for some line drawings, or this Pitt oil-based pencil, which I really like. I enjoy using that. And also for another sort of experiment, I kind of used this a lot as well, because this is quite good fun, and you can just get a quick sketch down using the Koh-i-Noor magic pencil. The water brush was handy, and these colour pencils I did also use. I don't think I really used them on location. I used them more back at the Airbnb to add colour to one of my sketches, which I will show you. So didn't actually use that one either. So what I am thinking of doing is repacking this into another pencil case, perhaps something like the Smart Fit, which I think would also hold my paint tin. So I'm going to give that a little go, and I will come back and show you how that goes, because it's the start of the summer holidays. I'll be doing lots more trips out with my children to the beach, and various different places. A little trip up to Bristol we've got planned. Although it'll be harder to sketch with the children around, I think having a more minimal kit will be even more appropriate really than lugging all of that around, because I'll have water bottles and snacks too. So practically speaking, the smaller the kit, the better. So this is the sketchbook I took on my trip. It worked brilliantly. It's a really small, kind of lightweight and flexible Stillman and Burn Epsilon series. I'd already been using it to do out and about sketches on my bike and trips to Bristol, etc. So I just wanted to quickly flip through the sketches I made while in Cornwall. So the first one was on our first day there. We kind of arrived a little bit early and walked down, so it was too early to check into our Airbnb, and we walked down to the beach, which was Carbis Bay Beach. It was a little bit overcast, but it was still absolutely gorgeous, and I just really enjoyed sitting down and making this sketch. I did use my watercolour tin and the Pitt Oil based pencil, and yeah, I think I did a little bit of watercolour pencil and then used the water brush, and then I kind of felt I needed more colour, so I added the watercolour tin too. So that was my first sketch, and I really pleased with that. Kind of, you know, captured the scene. I then sketched this back at the Airbnb a bit later on in the day. In fact, I think it was the next morning. Yeah, it was the next morning. And this just showed from a photo I took of my husband walking down to the beach that the previous sketch was made on. So I just kept that really minimal with the colour. I also sketched this back at the Airbnb with just watercolour pencils again, just a couple. The yellow and the blue, just keeping it really minimal. And these were a couple of shells I'd picked up on the beach the day we walked down there. The next day, on Wednesday, we walked along the coast path to St Ives. We stopped to have a coffee, and they brought out a carafe of water while we were waiting for the coffees to be made. So I just made a very quick sketch of my husband and the waters with the Pitt Oil based pen again. And then I decided not to colour it because I was busy enjoying chatting with my husband and the coffees and looking around at the beautiful town that is St Ives. We then walked through the town and went to the Tate St Ives, which was great, and we really enjoyed looking around there. And afterwards we sat on the sort of steps and decided where to go next. While my husband was looking at Google Maps, I made a really quick sketch of a chap sort of stood watching the world go by. And this was, I can't remember the name of the beach, but it's just outside Tate St Ives, and, you know, the cliff headland beyond, the safe water flag. Just captured it really, really quickly. And it's the kind of thing I thought I might add colour to later on, but in the end I didn't. So the next sketch is a favourite really from the trip. This was later on in the day. We went down to Porthminster Beach en route home, and I just sat and was a bit overwhelmed by the whole scene. It was an absolutely lovely beach and quite busy. So we sort of sat and people watched, and I kind of just picked this up and put it down and made this sketch throughout this sort of hour that we were there, I guess. Just drawing people in the sea, the view to St Ives, the seagulls, which were a bit of a menace, stealing people's food, but that was quite entertaining as well. So I wanted to capture them, and just a few boats out in the bay. So I just drew that on the beach, and then later on back at the Airbnb I coloured these in using really minimal colours with the my watercolour pencils, and I think I only really used these four colours. I might have used the grey brush pen as well, actually, just to add some of the dark areas. So I was really pleased with this, and it kind of really captures the day for me. So while I was down there I did also sketch this had been a bit more of a montage, whereas this one I kind of did try to capture the scene. So people kind of tended to walk down and realise how cold the sea was and stand there psyching themselves up or just paddling and enjoying the view. So the boats were a little bit more static, so I was able to sketch those quickly. And obviously the headland beyond is a massive bay, and there was a lifeguard surfboard down there marking out another one further along where they were lifeguarding. So yeah, just tried to capture that. It was good practice, just drawing what I could see with the fountain pen, and I didn't feel any need to add any colour to that. I quite like it as it is. We then went up and had a drink at the cafe on the beach, which was lovely. We had a little bit of shade, and I took advantage of sitting there to kind of sketch a few more beach scenes, some people sunbathing, and I sketched this later on from a photo of St Ives Harbour, and again just didn't really feel the need to add any colour to it. And then on our final day we drove up to Padstow after checking out, just to kind of have a little look around another town before we drove home. Broke up the journey a little bit, and I used my magic pencil for that, and I really liked, again, just capturing our coffee while we sat and sort of thought about what we would do for the rest of the day. I made a few more sketches whilst at the cafe, just of a seagull and a busker, and a bit further down in the harbour just tried to capture some boats. It was just really, really quick sketches. And I turned around while we were at the harbour and just looked out over to this lovely town called Rock, and that had some nice looking beaches, and you can get the ferry over, which I think we would do if we went another time. But we didn't have that long, we had to get back home. So just another quick sketch made on location, just with the fountain pen. And then I made this yesterday. I've taken a million photos, so I've got lots and lots of reference photos to draw from. And this was just made using the materials really that I'd been using on holiday, so the fountain pen and the watercolour pencils. So I kind of quite like that effect really, just kind of a bit of a continuous line and then adding a very minimal colour, just these three. I think it was the dark blue, the yellow and the red. So I think that was quite a nice technique. So really, I think that this would be my kit that I would take out and about. I might take a few more colours, but if I'm out and about, really kind of limit what I take, or not worry at all and just colour those, use those back at the Airbnb to colour in later on. So I'm going to try and put a little kit together and I'll be back to show you that in a minute. Okay, so this is my revised travel kit. I think this is what I'm going to choose to take out with me on my days out and any other trips I go on over the summer. So this is a Lihit Lab Smart Fit pencil case. You can get them from Cult Pens and on Amazon as well, I believe. And it's just a really small, slimline, lightweight, pretty durable pencil case. As you can see, it is quite a bit slimmer than the Sendak and shorter too, so the shortness is kind of handy, although is also a little bit of a pain because it doesn't fit brand new colour pencils in, but if you've used them a little bit it will fit, and it won't fit in paintbrushes I guess, but I'm just going with the water brush for simplicity. So as you can see, this is a serious improvement on weight and size. Okay, so what's inside? Basically what I took and what I took out and about with me, or used back at the Airbnb, ignoring all the other supplies that I didn't use. So first of all, my fountain pen. I mean, this could be any fountain pens. I have a few more to choose from, but this is my fine nib Lamy Safari with, I think it's platinum carbon ink that I'm using in there. So it's you can put a watercolour wash over the top and it won't bleed. And then a selection of watercolour pencils. These are Faber Castell Albrecht Dürer colour pencils. So you can use them as a colour pencil, or you can add water and make a watercolour wash from them. So they are fantastic too. And then I really, really love my Pitt Oil base pencil, which is just really nice, a bit of a colour pencil type style to it for making line, and is nice and versatile for that, so it goes really well with the colour pencils. Oh, that's not sticking out. They are, as you can see, they're a little bit long, but it does still just about zip up, so I guess I've maybe sharpened them a couple of times so they do fit. And then over on the other side I've got a small cloth for my water brush, in case I want to use that with the colour pencils. My Koh-i-Noor magic pencil, which I really enjoy sketching with. I didn't use the art Graf, but it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's very handy if I just wanted to use my my Pitt pencil or my fountain pen and then just add some tone. That would be ideal to use with that, so that's in there. And then because I am taking watercolour pencils, I'm going to take a pencil sharpener. So this is great because it's got an area you can basically sharpen your pencils like that, and then if you're out and about and haven't got anywhere to put your shavings, you can just literally put that back on and it will hold them in there so you don't make a mess. So in terms of repacking it, I'm just basically putting the pencil sharpener in there, the art Graf in behind, and then that kind of gets stopped from going down further so it doesn't get too bulky. My water brush, my Koh-i-Noor magic pencil, and then this can just sit there, and then that folds up and that is ready to go and would create quite a range of sketches alongside my sketchbook.